Роден победител.
But here's the thing, we say sacrifice. Actually, to me, those sacrifices have been the fun part. Being that dedicated to something, it's a very fruitful life. Like, you feel good when there's a fight coming.
It's fulfilling.
Yeah, that purpose, that sense of identity through, like, I'm the guy who will struggle to get there. I love being that guy. So I broke it last year, right before my fight with Daniel. So I was sparring with Sean Strickland in Las Vegas, and I hit his elbow. He kind of guarded up high, and I threw an overhand that came around and hit his elbow. And yeah, I fought with it broken, and then I got a surgery afterwards. Yeah, so I want to be a triple champion.
Okay.
And I'm very determined to make that happen. So if things play out the way I would like them to, and we'll see what happens. I was working construction a lot as a kid and doing a lot of different things, so like, this wasn't like the easiest journey I could have taken. It was much easier to go down another path, to just go work in that life. And like, I got offered quite a good job in New York. That was the reason that I went back to college afterwards. So while I was working with that guy, I was working for quite a good construction company over there.
Yes.
And it seemed like that was going to be my life, that I was going to move back to America and do all that. And then I just got too into MMA, and I liked it. I really liked it. So I ended up kind of struggling financially a lot for a while, but I didn't have kids, so it's a lot easier, you know. I made that choice to just be like, no, this is what I'm going to go for. And overall now, I'm very glad I made that choice.
Was it hard for you to switch from like construction working and trying to survive to big time MMA?
Well, it wasn't big time at first, this is the thing. So like, if I'd been offered real good money at the start, sure, it would have been an easy decision.
Yeah.
It could have been like, yeah, of course I'm going to go and do this thing that I love to do. But I wasn't a mad fan of working construction. You know, I had an okay, like my job paid quite well, but it wasn't satisfying to do. So I think I would have made okay money, but I wouldn't have been happy as a person. And I kind of chose to give that up to be a lot less financially secure, and yet a lot happier. You know, I knew that office life, and I didn't want to be that guy. And like, you know, at the time I was doing manual labor back then, but I would have ended up working in an office. And I saw the guys who were doing that, and I was like, I don't want to be like that. So I'm really glad I made the decision to not be, because look, I'm 36 years old now. I'm a lot longer now. That's 15 years ago. But I'm pretty okay with being this guy now. And look, like, I haven't made crazy money, but I've been able to support myself by doing this, and I'm very proud.
Actually, your story is quite different than some of the other guys, because you have the chance to get well-educated. You were well-educated. You were like, yes.
And I got a college degree in the end, so like, I have a degree in quantity surveying and that type of thing. So like, I had the choice to go down that professional route, and I really didn't want to. You know, like, this appealed to me so much more, and I think that's one of the things. Like, a lot of guys, they say they're in this because they have no other options in Ireland. you know, maybe elsewhere people don't have other options. Here, you kind of always do have another option. So it's like, mate, if you're going to choose to do this, be very passionate about it. Like, give it your fucking all. Because you're forgoing another life. You're forgoing probably an easier life financially. So, to me, if you're going to pursue something like this, why not give it absolutely everything? And I see a lot of guys come into this, they kind of half-ass it, and I don't understand that mentality.
Don't you think that this is real, that is true for all the things in life, actually, not only for fighting?
Yeah, probably.
Because if you're going to do something, just like you said, don't half-ass it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
But then, for that, you have to understand what it's worth to you and the passion you have to put into that. Like, people talk a lot about passion. I think we have the ability to be passionate about anything as long as we can see the end goal or appreciate the journey that it takes you on. But as a kid, like, I definitely didn't feel passion for most of the things I did until I was involved in MMA. And now I can kind of try and translate that into other things in my life. Because I understand that as long as you're really dedicated to something, actually getting to where you want to be is the fun part. And the journey of doing that is nearly the actual reward of it. You know, the thing that you want to get to, when you get there, it's like, okay, I'm here now.
Yes.
The reward is actually trying to get there and the fun of that. And you can make things that are hard quite fun by just dedicating yourself to it and understanding the process of figuring it out. I think like MMA taught me that, but I didn't really have that before I found MMA, to be honest.
It's like Muhammad Ali saying everybody wants the end result, but no one wants to sacrifice all the things.
Yeah, but like, here's the thing, we say sacrifice. Actually, to me, those sacrifices have been the fun part. Being that dedicated to something, it's a very fruitful life. Like, you feel good when there's a fight coming.
It's fulfilling.
Yeah, that purpose, that sense of identity through, like, I'm the guy who will struggle to get there. I love being that guy. You know, when the fight is over and I don't have that, there's a hollowness to my life. So that's why you always feel like I need the next fight, I need the next thing. Like, you know, the Kipler, if you commute with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same. I've often had that feeling after a fight where, like, there's a sense of just depression and hollowness now because you lack the purpose. You lack the identity of being the guy who will struggle to get somewhere because you got there. So it's like, okay, now you need a new struggle, now you need a new thing. And that journey, the being the guy who's going to get there, that's the most exciting thing I've found from all of this, is like the dedication of being the guy. So, like, we say sacrifice. Yeah, I've missed out on some things in life because of doing this, but they were always worth the goal of, like, or the identity that I created by being this person.
Do you consider yourself to be inspiration for young talent, for young guys here?
That's not up to me to decide. Like, if somebody is inspired by me, great. Like,
I think that you are. So if you want it or not, doesn't matter.
Yeah, well,
you have to take the responsibility for that.
Yeah, and look, like, throughout my career, I've probably done things that I'm not entirely happy with as who I am now.
Yeah.
I look back and I say, hey, you could have done that better, or you could have, you know, been a better example here. But at the same time, I'm living this life for me. And if somebody else happens to be inspired by it, great. That's, you know, I'm flattered by that. But my end goal is to keep my own inner self quite happy and, like, to admire who I am. If I like who I am, it doesn't matter if 1,000 people are telling me I'm an asshole. I'll be okay with it. Because even to go down this road in the first place, you know, my parents didn't want me to do it. Very few people who were close to me in my life wanted me to be this guy. So, you know, there was a lot to go against. And I'm really glad that I went against all of those things. So if society is telling me, hey, I'm not okay with what you're doing, as long as I don't feel like I'm hurting anybody and I'm paying my own sense of morality.
Fine for you, yes. Have to be fine for you.
I keep me happy, you know?
Now tell me something more about, if you may so, for your hand and the whole situation in front of the camera. Because you was just telling me that you have a problem with your thumb.
Yeah, so I broke it in the fight with Donoff again. So I broke it last year, right before my fight with Daniel Skvor. So I was sparring with Sean Strickland in Las Vegas, and I hit his elbow. He kind of guarded up high, and I threw an overhand that came around and hit his elbow. And yeah, I fought with it broken, and then I got a surgery afterwards. Originally, this is like April last year, and it never quite healed fully. And then my thumb felt a little bit weird for most of the last year. Wasn't quite in the right position, and the bone never quite formed back fully. So I like mobility-wise, my thumb was pretty bad. but I could grip okay, so I could do a lot of things functionally. Even though when I was hitting, a lot of the time my thumb got caught in the way because it wasn't in the right place. So during the Tada fight, I landed a couple of shots kind of to the side of his head, where I just kind of clubbed over. And I think I broke it pretty early in the fight again, but this time I'd like chipped a lot of the bone off, and the joint had kind of degenerated a lot because of being out of position for the last year. So when I went to hospital over here, they didn't really want to operate. Like originally they took me in, they said, okay, we'll do the operation. And then when they had a better look at it, they were like, oh, this is a bad situation. So we don't know if this operation will be successful if we do it. I then got referred to a hand specialist, and she also didn't want to operate on it, so she wanted to fuse the joint together. And I wouldn't be able to continue my career if that was the case.
You wouldn't be able to close the grip?
Yeah, I'd have like very little mobility, so I just have like mobility in the top joint of the thumb, and just for gripping and even for punching, that wouldn't really be ideal at all. So eventually I sent all my scans over to a guy, Dr. Kebro in the Czech Republic. He's considered a really good hand surgeon, and it took almost a month. So I think it was about a month after the fight that I ended up getting surgery. So I got that last Monday, and I now have like 8 weeks in this kind of a cast type of thing. And they've pretty much, they had to bone graft in, so they took out like a little bit of the base of my thumb where the joint was all shattered and messed up, and they've put in a little bit of new bone there, and they've pinned everything back together. There's some pins, so I have like 6 pins in my hand right now. I think 2 are going to be permanent.
You have 6?
Yeah. So it's quite a big operation. And 2 of those pins are going to be permanent. So the joint probably won't ever move quite like it did 2 years ago, but it's good. Hopefully, please God, everything works out right, but it's going to be functional and like.
Guys, just 1 second. So I just want to go back on one thing Rob's asked me, and it's just to get the elbow off, okay? And what is that fighting thing? So how do I get my elbow off? I want to use my shoulder, and I don't need to go to a sparring. I just want to go whoop, right here. So the minute I go here, I'm going to this knee hip. And King came over the top, but he's ready to go up as well with either. So if you're here, I want to hide, I want to hook.
I'm finding out like I can't open jars. I can't. You might have saw there like John was tying my shoelaces.
Yes.
I can't tie my shoelaces.
Oh,
There's a lot of things that are a bit of a pain in the ass. But you know what? I've broken this hand 4 times. I've never broken my right hand.
I think that this happened in the second round before, because against Lazar you had like 3 or 4 times hitting him in the second round, and it was like an overhand, like coming
sort
from
of.
way up.
But I remember at the end of the first round, I had an overhook and I was facing this way, and I thought I had his wrist gripped, and he landed a really good elbow on me. And I was kind of like, how did he escape my grip that quickly? And then as the fight went on, I noticed like my grip is really not good in this.
So it happened in the first round, probably?
Maybe. I don't know for sure.
Wow.
But I remember that situation being like, I thought I had his wrist gripped. And then when I watched it back.
So you fought 4 rounds with the hand like that?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Probably at first is the adrenaline that you're not feeling.
You don't feel much.
Yeah,
so like at some point early enough in the fight, I'm pretty sure. Because I watched the back a couple of times, and in the first round there was like once he was stepping to the left and I kind of clubbed over the side of his head. That could have been. I definitely did some damage to my thumb at that stage. I'm not sure if it like broke properly then, but I probably damaged it a bit then, and I was like.
Tell me something more about that fight, because it's. I thought that you probably going to agree with me that it was a war. Actually.
Yeah, it was a crazy fight.
Yeah.
And like, look.
Lazar is
he's a great fighter.
Beast,
I think he's really underrated, man.
Yes.
You know, like I feel like I would beat a lot of guys. I get a lot, like beating Carlos, it got me a lot of credit. Beating Lazar is an achievement I'm much more proud of, because I know how good a fighter that guy is, even if other people don't. So I'm really proud of the performance in that fight. It did like, look, I'm not making excuses at all. I went in kind of too quickly off the back of the Carlos fight. I didn't take a break in training. I got quite sick during the camp and I tried to push through. My body probably wasn't in the best place going into that fight. But I felt like I've done so much over the years. I know what I am and I know the level I'm at. I can go in and beat this guy anyway. And I'm really proud that I went in with that mentality and managed to do it. But hey, the guy's a hell of a fighter and he showed that too. And like, some of the punches that he took even to the body, you know, I landed quite flush to the body a bunch of times. And I thought, okay, this is going to show. You know, he's going to stumble, he's going to... Nothing, you know. And it is disheartening when you're landing like that on
You
a
were
guy.
like, what the hell?
Yeah, and like a couple of the kicks, you know, kicks to the body, they landed really well.
Okay.
You know, and I was just like, what? Nothing, come on.
But you had that sparring with Sean Strickland, so probably you had
Yeah, but like
preparation enough.
The thing is, a lot of times with guys like that, like they have things that they're very good at, and they have things that they're not amazing at, and it's about finding the hole. And with Lazaro, I kind of felt like in the first round, it's like I found my hole. I went, like, you know, I've got you sussed. But it was just like it was so ineffective, nearly. Of like I hit him, nothing. I hit him, nothing. And I was like, hey man, this is, you know, I'm in and out. You're not hitting me. I'm hitting you. And then like he lands one good shot, and in fairness, like I kind of tripped. I've watched the video back a few times. The jab he lands the first round that drops me, it's sort of because my balance is blocked and I'm stepping that direction. He steps on my foot, the jab lands, and I go to like rebalance at the same time. But it was a good punch. And I was like, okay, this guy can really hit when he hits. He's not landing anywhere near as much as I'm landing. But it was like, I already have done the thing that I thought would win me the fight, and I've got into my groove, and it's not effective, it's not winning the fight. So it was kind of a weird mentality during it to feel like, what am I going to do? Like, you know, I have to kind of continuously keep this pressure on him, even though I feel like I'm using more energy than he is.
What's next now for you? You had the title and everything that you wanted, probably in a couple of weight categories.
Yeah.
So what now?
So I look at Frederick Voskeron coming up here, and I see all the hype he's generating in Germany. It's going to be a couple of months before I'm back. I hope that he can win his next fight. I think they're going to plan another fight for him in between. If he can do that and he can make himself kind of look better again, I would love to fight him. Because he's the only guy that's called my name. You know, nobody else ever throughout my career is like they want to fight me. So I'm kind of like, well, if the guy wants it, great. Because, you know, most of the time I'm the guy calling for it and nobody's paying attention. You know, nobody wants to do it. So if we finally have a guy who wants to, great. And then I would really like to. My end goal is to fight him as soon as I come back, and then go down to middleweight afterwards. And I would hope
Go back to the middleweight?
Yes, yeah. So I want to be a triple champion.
Okay.
And I'm very determined to make that happen. So if things play out the way I would like them to, and we'll see what happens. But Makhmed Murdoch is going to fight Patrick Kinsel for the interim title in June this year in Prague. Hopefully Murdoch wins that. And then hopefully Karim Engizek, who's the current middleweight champion but has taken part in the Game Changer tournament, if he loses early in the tournament and the two of them can fight each other at the end of the year, and there's a unanimous champion that ends up being Murdoch, who I think is the best middleweight out there in the octagon right now, then I can fight Murdoch early next year and without defending the heavyweight belt be a triple champion. Now, obviously, it's a huge variance in weight category. I wouldn't be able to maintain all three belts, but I would be the first guy to simultaneously be a triple champion.
I think that probably the most pressuring thing about you, about fighters, all the fighters, is the time span. You have to accomplish so much, but you have a certain time span.
Yeah.
You cannot exceed this time span much more. You cannot go way beyond 45 years old.
So that's why I was like, it's so disheartening when things like this happen, because you realize my period of time in this is very finite. But ultimately, if you're not defeated mentally, and look, obviously my career is going really well right now, so it's easier to take a break at the moment. I've just had 4 fights in 10 months. You know, if I take 6 months off, some guys take 6 months off in between fights anyway. Like I've had periods in my career where I fought nearly once a year. So this is a lot easier than that. But it is like, I know what the level I'm at, and I'm so determined to continue to achieve on that level. I think I've shown a little bit recently, but it's like I have a lot more to show. And, you know, I don't have forever to go and show it. So it's about making the most of this window. And that's kind of what's keeping me driven, like, you know, being the guy who's on that path. Like I said, right now I kind of have to take a little bit of a step off of that and just let things pass me by for a while. But I can't wait to get back on the road, you know, and start working towards something else again.
Did you ever think that the Octagon is going to be so big for your career?
Yeah, honestly, like I cornered a guy, Paul Byrne, who trains here back in 2017, and I was amazed at how well organized the show was. And then after the whole thing with the PFL happened, I saw that they were probably the most likely guys that I would go with, because they're a big show, they're well organized, they're doing big things. But as soon as I did a press conference over in Ostrava with them, where I did a face-off with Daniel Shkfor, and we did like a face-to-face interview type of thing. I couldn't believe how well organised everything was at that stage and how much it had grown since. So they were very well organised in 2017, but it was a smaller operation. Even though they'd sold out a tennis stadium in Prague, I think it was like 7,000 or 8,000 tickets. And in Ostrava, I think it was 12,000, and the event was so well organised. And like, you know, I'm being Daniel Shkfor speaking to me, there's translators in my ear, translating as he's talking. And I'm like, I'm only a guy on a main card. You know, I'm not even a huge deal for these guys yet. And this is the level of effort being put into like promoting this. So I thought things are good here. Like if I exploit this the right way, there's a massive opportunity here. So before I'd even fought with them, I knew how big the opportunity was. And that's kind of why I was willing to fight with the broken hand. Because I thought like, if I come in and do the business,
yes,
there's a massive opportunity here. And I still see it that way. You look at how big they're becoming in Germany now. Like they have 1.4 million viewers on the RTL Plus stream.
Even more sometimes.
Yeah. Like that's a massive opportunity from a fighter's point of view. You know, so like this is why I'm looking for that Foscron fight. There's a market there. And there's a market, like they're selling like 60,000 tickets. Whoever thought that could be done in Germany, you know? So they're doing incredible work. It's on me to do incredible work too. Because now we can create that kind of a symbiotic relationship and start to really build something special, you know. And I see the opportunity of it, and I did originally. That's why I went in and fought with this broken hand. But now it's real. Now it's very real, you know. So before this, it was potential. Now it's happening, and we can all see that it's happening. But there's a lot more can happen. We can continue to go up, you know.
Sometimes you have to just wait for the chance to smile at you, like for the right opportunity to come for you.
Yeah, and sometimes you feel like, is it ever going to come? Because throughout most of my career, I felt like I've been this guy, but things didn't really happen, you know. And that's kind of why I'm so determined right now to make the absolute best of this, because I felt like I've been a very good martial artist for a hell of a long time. Okay, there was opportunities I had to prove that where I didn't go out and show enough, but ultimately I'm now getting my chance. So Will, if you know, it's on me to go and show it now. And if you feel like you owe this to yourself, well then go and show it, like go and do it. And I'm very determined to go and do it now.
I could see that you're a friend with Nicola.
Yeah.
Is that the friendship go way back?
Yeah, quite a while. Like I remember Georgie.
Valentino.
Yes. He came over to train, I think, back in 2018. So that's, what, 7 years ago now. And Nikolai was kind of around him a lot and training, and he used to come into the gym. Really good guy, really respectful guy. Always like, you know what I mean? There's people in MMA who are switched on and they see the reality of things. He's one of those type of guys. So like, I've always liked dealing with him and interacting with him.
Thank you very much for that, and thank you for your time.
Cheers.